Have you ever imagined a world without borders? A place where geographical, cultural, and political boundaries simply didn't exist? Sounds fascinating, doesn't it? But what if this actually happened? Would the consequences be as utopian as we imagine, or would they bring unexpected challenges? Get ready to dive into one of humanity's biggest what-ifs. Let's explore this intriguing scenario together and uncover how a borderless world could shape our future and our identity as a global society. Increased global migration. If all borders were abolished, the world would experience an unprecedented wave of migration. People from war-torn regions or struggling economies would move freely to more stable and prosperous areas. Imagine cities, like New York or Berlin, facing explosive population growth, completely transforming their social and economic dynamics. On the flip side, less developed regions could experience a population drain, leaving their economies and infrastructure struggling to survive. Such mass migration would bring both challenges and opportunities. Housing markets could become overwhelmed, jobs could become scarce in certain areas, and public services like healthcare and education might face unprecedented demand. For example, hospitals in wealthier nations might struggle to accommodate the influx of new patients, and schools could grapple with the sudden rise in student numbers, especially in urban areas. However, this movement of people could also foster incredible cultural exchanges and innovation. History has repeatedly shown that when diverse groups come together, groundbreaking ideas and solutions emerge. For instance, the U.S. Silicon Valley, fueled by immigrants from all over the world, became a hub for technological innovation. A borderless world might create countless Silicon Valleys, each powered by the creativity and collaboration of people from different backgrounds. Additionally, individuals who previously felt trapped in failing systems could find new opportunities. Imagine a young entrepreneur from a developing country moving freely to a global economic hub to pursue their dreams without needing visas or overcoming legal hurdles. Their success could inspire others and contribute to a ripple effect of progress. Still, there would be significant challenges in ensuring fair distribution of resources and maintaining societal balance. Countries with robust infrastructure might need global strategies to manage migration fairly, avoiding conflicts between locals and newcomers, while ensuring that no one is left behind. Would the world embrace this newfound freedom? Or would it struggle under the weight of its consequences? The answer would depend on how humanity chose to adapt and collaborate in this shared future. Cultural fusion. In a world without borders, cultural exchange would reach unprecedented levels. Imagine the blending of traditions, languages, and cuisines happening on a global scale, creating entirely new cultural identities. For instance, music could become a universal language like never before, with genres mixing seamlessly. A borderless world might see a fusion of Bollywood and Hollywood, or local street food traditions influencing gourmet menus in far-off cities. This cultural intermixing wouldn't just enhance creativity, it could also break down long-standing stereotypes. People who previously never had direct contact with others from different backgrounds would now live, work, and learn together. Picture a classroom where students from 5 continents share their stories, traditions, and perspectives. It's not hard to see how this could foster mutual understanding and empathy on an extraordinary scale. On the other hand, such a shift could also lead to cultural dilution. Some might fear losing unique customs or languages as dominant cultures take precedence in globalized spaces. For instance, smaller indigenous languages might struggle to survive in a homogenized world. However, this challenge could spark efforts to preserve cultural heritage in creative ways, such as digital archives or global cultural festivals. With this massive cultural fusion, even our identity as individuals might change. People might start seeing themselves less as citizens of a specific country and more as global citizens. The idea of home could evolve to mean a shared Earth rather than a specific territory. But here's the real question. Would this newfound unity bring humanity closer? Or would the challenges of balancing our shared identities with our unique heritages create new divisions? Economic impacts. A borderless world would revolutionize the global economy. Companies could expand their operations anywhere without worrying about tariffs, trade agreements, or regulatory differences. Imagine a small startup in Africa accessing markets in Europe and Asia as easily as selling to its own neighbors. Similarly, skilled workers could seek opportunities anywhere, filling gaps in labor markets and driving innovation. But such freedom comes with significant challenges. Wealthier nations might attract a disproportionate share of talent, leaving less developed countries struggling to keep their economies afloat. For example, industries in smaller or poorer regions might face collapse as both their workforce and consumers relocate to more prosperous areas. At the same time, the elimination of borders could drive unprecedented global collaboration. Countries wouldn't compete for resources or labor as aggressively because everyone would be part of one interconnected system. Imagine international research teams working seamlessly on breakthroughs in medicine or renewable energy, unimpeded by national interests. However, the cost of living could become a major concern. Cities that already struggle with overpopulation and housing shortages, such as Tokyo or São Paulo, might see prices skyrocket. On the flip side, rural areas or smaller towns might boom as people seek alternatives to crowded urban centers. This redistribution of population could spark innovation in overlooked regions as demand for infrastructure and services grows. Another economic shift could come from the rethinking of currency. Would a global economy lead to a single universal currency, or would regions still maintain separate systems? A universal currency might simplify trade and reduce inequalities, but it could also create new economic vulnerabilities. Ultimately, while the possibilities for growth and innovation are immense, ensuring equitable development would require careful, global planning. Could humanity rise to the challenge of balancing prosperity with fairness in a borderless economy? Security challenges. Without borders, ensuring global security would be one of humanity's greatest challenges. Borders currently serve as barriers to control the movement of goods, people, and potential threats. Without them, issues like organized crime, human trafficking, and the spread of illegal substances could become far more difficult to contain. For example, law enforcement agencies today rely on jurisdictional boundaries to operate effectively. In a borderless world, they would need to collaborate on a massive scale, forming a unified global system of policing. While this could strengthen international cooperation, it might also lead to logistical nightmares and conflicts over authority. Imagine a global crime syndicate operating seamlessly across former national boundaries. Tracking and dismantling such networks would require unprecedented coordination. Cybersecurity could also become a bigger concern. With no borders, the exchange of data and technology would increase exponentially, leaving critical systems vulnerable to cyber attacks. Protecting sensitive information, from financial records to national defense strategies, would require a rethinking of digital security measures. On the other hand, a borderless world might reduce some traditional security threats, such as wars over territorial disputes. With no land to claim or defend, global conflicts might shift away from physical battles and focus instead on issues like economic power or ideological differences. Moreover, disaster response could improve in some ways. A world without borders would make it easier to send aid to regions affected by natural disasters or humanitarian crises. Relief teams could move freely, saving more lives and delivering resources faster. The question remains, would a borderless world enhance global security through cooperation, or would it expose humanity to new and more complex risks? Transformation of national identity. In a borderless world, the concept of national identity would undergo a profound transformation. Today, people often define themselves by the country they were born in or the passport they hold. Without borders, those distinctions would begin to blur, and individuals might start identifying more as global citizens rather than as members of a specific nation. Imagine the Olympic Games, an event that celebrates national pride, evolving into a competition of regional or individual talent instead of a showcase of countries. Flags, an emblem of national identity, might become less significant, replaced by symbols of global unity or cultural heritage. Education could also shift dramatically. Schools might focus less on teaching national histories and more on global narratives, emphasizing humanity's shared challenges and triumphs. For instance, history classes could explore themes like how civilizations have always been interconnected, fostering a sense of belonging to a larger global story. However, this change wouldn't come without resistance. People who hold strong ties to their cultural or national identity might struggle to adjust to a world where these distinctions are less important. There could be movements to preserve traditional values and customs, much like today's efforts to protect endangered languages and cultures. On the positive side, the erosion of national identity might reduce prejudice and nationalism. Without borders, there would be fewer us versus them divisions, potentially fostering greater understanding and collaboration among people from different backgrounds. The big question is, could humanity truly embrace a collective identity without losing the richness of its individual cultures? Would this shift unify us or create new divides between those who embrace globalism and those who cling to tradition? Environmental impact. A borderless world would have profound effects on the environment. As people migrate freely, population densities in certain areas could soar, placing immense pressure on local ecosystems. Cities with booming populations might see increased pollution, deforestation, and strain on water resources, while rural areas could face abandonment, leading to neglected farmland and loss of biodiversity. For instance, imagine tropical forests or wetlands being rapidly cleared to accommodate expanding cities or agricultural needs in areas where migration peaks. At the same time, other regions could experience rewilding as human populations shift, allowing nature to reclaim previously inhabited spaces. Transportation, a major contributor to global emissions, might also skyrocket. With people moving across the globe more frequently, the demand for long-distance travel would likely increase, intensifying greenhouse gas emissions. However, this could also push governments and industries to prioritize sustainable solutions, like carbon-neutral travel technologies or renewable energy sources. A borderless world could foster greater global cooperation on environmental challenges. Countries often hesitate to address issues like climate change due to economic competition or differing priorities. In a unified system, humanity might work together to tackle problems like rising sea levels or plastic pollution. For example, coordinated efforts could create massive ocean cleaning initiatives or enforce global conservation laws. But would humanity find balance in this interconnected world? Or would the environment become an unintended casualty of our newfound freedom? Challenges to governance. Eliminating borders would dismantle the current framework of governance, forcing the world to rethink how societies are organized and led. Today, governments are structured around national boundaries, with laws, policies, and leaders tailored to specific territories. Without borders, how would power be distributed and who would be in charge? One possibility is the rise of a global government, a system where representatives from all regions come together to make decisions for humanity as a whole. This could eliminate conflicts over trade, immigration, and territorial disputes. However, it would also raise questions about fairness. How would smaller or less wealthy regions ensure their voices are heard in a system dominated by larger, more powerful areas? Local governance might still play a role, with cities or regions managing day-to-day affairs while global institutions handle overarching issues like climate change, health crises, or economic regulations. For instance, a global health authority could coordinate responses to pandemics, ensuring that resources are distributed equitably and efficiently. However, the lack of clear boundaries could also lead to power struggles. Would former nations compete for influence in a global system, or would new alliances and rivalries emerge? Additionally, without borders, enforcing laws or managing resources could become more complex. Imagine trying to regulate fishing in international waters, or addressing disputes over shared resources like rivers or forests. The success of governance in a borderless world would depend on humanity's ability to build inclusive, transparent, and adaptable systems. Would we rise to this challenge, or would the absence of borders lead to chaos and inequality? A world without borders is a captivating concept that stirs the imagination, filled with possibilities for innovation, unity, and cultural exchange. However, it also presents challenges, economic, security-related, and social, that demand careful consideration. Would humanity rise to the occasion, creating systems that promote fairness, understanding, and progress? Or would the lack of structure leave us vulnerable to chaos and division? What do you think? Do you agree with the ideas we've explored? Or do you have other scenarios in mind that we haven't covered? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our next deep dive into thought-provoking topics. And before you go, check out the video appearing on your screen for more fascinating discussions.